you know, one of these days I'm actually going to take this thing out and drive it. I don't know when though. It's just days and weeks and years worth of work to do still. Let me tell you guys something that I love more than anything in the world is tapping holes. Look at this. God, I love it so much. It's probably the best thing that's ever happened to me in my life. That was the third hole that I'm trying to tap out of 5,000. So we started at the bottom, now we're here. Sorry. I'm working on the skid plate. I didn't show you guys because I got excited. But one of the things you got to do is you got to cut the factory plate. So these little corners out. Already did that, got them cleaned up. I just used a Sawzall with a metal blade on it. That worked good. And then wherever it wasn't smooth, I used a flapper wheel on a grinder to smooth it. So, factory UTV, this is the factory skid plate, but the aftermarket one is factory UTV 1/2 inch UHMW. Bad mamma jamma. So I'm gonna work on getting this on there. I'm not gonna show you the entire thing, I'll show you little bits and pieces. So you're just gonna have to deal with whatever I show you because that's what I'm gonna show you. All right, next part is putting these guys. So these are the rock slider brackets on there. And what you gotta do is they send you with these spacers. You'll see these guys. So the point with those is you want to space it out so that this is smooth with the plastic. So that should be a smooth transition. So I just test fit it. This side took 3 in the front, 2 in the rear. I snugged these up. I'm going to take these back out and blue Loctite them. And this side, this is what you do with those spacers. You just slide them on there. So this side just took 2 in the front, 1 in the rear. So those are the rock slider brackets. They go on the factory rock slider holes that are in the frame right there and right there. So got that. I'm gonna put both of those on there, blue Loctite them. I got this bracket kind of hanging. It is different, and the bolt holes and stuff are different than this. So not only were these clips in there upside down, but we're working through it. And we got this cross brace in there. This was additional, as additional support for underneath the engine and the trans there. This is an 1/8 inch thick aluminum plate. I bought that as an extra accessory because we like to bash things. So, all right, we'll get back to it. All right, I got excited. I got the main skid plate very loosely bolted on there. These are factory holes. Got those in there. And then this is where that extension bracket goes. So I got this in here loose. And then the rockers, these go into the bracket that we put on there. So I'm gonna get those secured, and then I could lift this up, and basically all the rest of the holes I need to drill. But what I wanted to do is get all the main pieces that I can get hung up there so that I could just do all the drilling and tapping all at once, because it's really gonna suck. So should be fun. There's progress so far, which is not very fast because drilling holes sucks. But I got the rear in there, not complete, but mostly complete. I just got to drill 2 holes. That's these back 2. So you got to push this up, and it kind of folds like out a little bit. I got to drill a whole bunch of holes in the front one. So this one, this one, this one, all of these ones, a whole bunch in there. I haven't even tried to put the diff one in there yet. That one goes in here like this-ish. So every one of those, all 6. All 6 of those need to go in there. So that should be fun. But I'm going to the dentist because I got a toothache and it hurts. So I got to go have it looked at. All right, I've got the front diff one, 4 bolts are in there. These 2 are drilled, I haven't tapped them yet. The main skid, everything in the middle is done. I haven't done anything with the rockers yet. And then the rear skid is done. The annoying part is I got to take the rear skid all the way back off. The reason why is I'm doing trailing arms and the frickin' bolt is over the top of it. So, I mean, maybe I can get to it from the top, I don't know. And I have to take the front skid maybe off, I'm not sure, but These bolts for the upper arms go over that way. And I'm pretty sure it's easier to get to them if you can stick your hand up right there where the skid plate is. Anyways, it's Christmas Eve. We're going to my Uncle Brian's house for dinner. So I will get back on this the day after Christmas. Maybe tomorrow, but I'll probably be doing family stuff. Maybe if we get home and I'm really feeling like it, I can come out here and work. I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, Merry Christmas and happy ProR RZR days. All right, it's after Christmas. Merry Christmas and all that stuff. Anyways, we're back to the RZR and just ran into a kind of annoying problem. It's not really a big deal because I have a bucket of bolts that are all RZR specific stuff. Okay. And I got a gajillion of those. But the factory UTV kit was short 3 of these. So it says you're supposed to use your factory bolts and then you use all of the new bolts, which is fine. So I got the front skid plate, all 6 of them in there. Those are all new bolts. And then I got the main skid, which I'm finishing the rockers now. I got this hole that I got to drill. This hole I got to drill. Same 2 on this side. This is my last factory washer because I've used all of the other ones and then the silver factory UTV ones. So kind of annoying. You spend, you know, well over $1,000 on this and you're short on hardware. So, I mean, I did order this stuff like during the holidays, so maybe they were just trying to get out of there and get with their families. But anyways, I got extra washers already dug out of my bolt bend thing because you lose these, they get ripped off. Anywho, let's get these 4 drilled and then we'll be done with the skid plate. Going up. The skid plate is done. My complaints about the skid plate. Half of the bolts are metric, half are 1/4-20. Factory UTV. If you knew the factory ones were metric, just send your kit with a bunch of metric bolts so we don't have a mix and match set because that's annoying. Anyways, it's on there. See how you see all these different heads on stuff? Because there's different bolts everywhere. This is the only bolt that didn't come with the kit or is not a factory one. So this was supposed to be a 2-inch long 1/4-20 bolt. It only caught by 1 thread. So I got a 2.5-inch bolt and I put it in there. I had a stainless one. But they're all in there. I'm probably gonna let it sit so it kind of forms and then go back through and torque them down again. Because it does form, it kind of wraps around. It looks good. And then the sliders, they cover pretty well. So I like that coverage on there. I think my only complaint is it'd look more appealing if it came further forward. I tried shifting them around, but after you tighten the bolts down here, it kind of pushes it to where it goes. So I think it looks pretty good. All right, the next thing that I want to try and do is I'm just trying to get things off the floor. Is I think I need to take it off the lift, which means I need to move the Cobra and the 66 Mustang and then all the rest of this crap. And I need to put it on the 2-post lift, which means I got to remove all the rest of this crap. All right, I finally got the blinker wiring in the dash wired. So look at this. Ta-da! And it actually blinks the right way too, so that's good. All right, so before I put it on the lift, I figured I would try and get as much other little stuff done. So I bought other light bracket mounts. I'm gonna see if those are right, and then we could pull the light bar off of that and get that mounted here, run that down and get that wired in. And then I got these rock lights, which we might actually lift it up in the air, get those mounted, and then do the rest of it later. But since we got it on the ground, let's see if we can get these in there. Oh, the other thing I wanted to do is get the door bags on there because I keep moving those damn things around. So let me just get those installed too while it's down here on the ground. All right, this is terrifying. I ripped the outer skin of the door off because you got to do that to get to these little guys, and you got to drill those out so you can mount your door bags. So I need to make sure I drill out the right ones. All right, passenger door bag's on there. Make sure the door still closes. Ta-da! All right, now I just got to do the driver's side. All right, my new Tusk light bar brackets do work on the ProR. But the problem is, I wanted to use the light bar off the Blue Razor. Well, I took it off and then I put it back on. It's like a goofy size. It's 34 inches. And you can either get a light bar bracket for 32 inch or 40 inch. So I haven't decided if I want to fab something up or if I just want to buy a different bar or whatever. So I just kept opening boxes. I got this Axia alloy rear mirror. I know, it looks weird because it's on the driver's side. But it's panoramic and the arms are equal length. So look at what I can see by sitting in the driver's seat. I can see everything behind me from one side of the Razor to the other. So I know it looks funny that it's not in the middle, but I don't care. I installed it so it's convenient for me. And it is not scratched or anything. I just got it gross because I had my nasty freaking hands on it. But anyway, so that's mounted. The other thing that I have is I have the side mirrors, but I can't put those on yet because I have the whole dash apart. And these guys slide up and down. So I'm not going to put the side mirrors on yet. I do have the fire extinguisher. And I'm trying to figure out where to put that, where it's out of the way. And I haven't quite figured out where I want to put it yet, because I want to mount it so that you could still open the box. So if you put it here, you have to mount it kind of up at an angle, and then it's higher than this, which looks funny. Before I get crazy and I mount the extinguisher, I have rear glass, so I figured I should get that mounted. So the very first step it tells you to do is remove these two flat Torx, which I already did. Those are these guys, and you install these. So the reason why these are there is because this lower mount, that's how it centers that. So it looks like you can install these and leave them in place. They just stand out so that the glass position's on top of that. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Installed. It was kind of weird doing it. So you got to install it from inside of the cab, and you pull all of this way further back than you think it needs to go, because these seals go around the back side of those speakers, and then these clips clip on from the back side, and then these ones clip on there. But it fits, seems like it fits pretty good, and it seals up pretty well. I mean, you still have openings here. It's not an enclosed cab, but so now that that's on there, that gives me an idea of how much space I have, because I was thinking about hanging the extinguisher there, maybe hanging it here like this way. Let me see if I can hold it in there. I could show you. So see how these little saddles will saddle the 2-inch bar? So this is what I was picturing. Probably this way so the handle's down. Something like that. But then I gotta see what it looks like in the mirror, and then that's kind of above my head. So the more I look at that, the more I don't like it. I think it's just gonna have to go on one of these bars in the back. Something like that-ish, maybe? I'm not entirely sure. Maybe on the driver's side, if I rotate that, it'll make more sense. Or I guess I could just put this towards the bottom. I could do something like that. Seems a little weird because it's upside down, but do we care? I mean, that kind of seems like it fits better like that. Why don't we just do that? What do you think? You think that that's good? It's good, because I don't care what you think. I'm doing what I want. So I'm just going to go ahead and proceed with what I want to do. This is Axia alloy. God, that is nice. They claim that it doesn't rattle, so you pull this out, pull that off of there. So it's got O-rings on these little guys, and that's what keeps it from rattling. Should be good until I get like 100 miles on it, and then it'll rattle like crazy, but I think that's gonna be all right. I'm not super happy about where it's at, but you know, what do? You just deal with it. Here's what it looks like from the back. So it is within the kind of the B pillar. Side view, and then front view. So front view, you can't even tell it's back there. I don't know, maybe that's a genius location. Somebody's probably going to tell me that's not supposed to be hanging upside down. It is. Deal with it. All right, the next thing I got that's in the way that I keep moving around is this air compressor. So on the blue RZR, found that it's nice to have an air compressor everywhere you go because you never know when you're going to get flat or pop a tire off a bead. So what I did with this is I just mounted it in the box. It's just hose clamped in there, and it looks pretty good. It looks like it belongs there, right? Well, the new RZR, oddly enough, has a smaller box, and I put those storage box in the Polaris cooler back there, so it's pretty full right now. And if you open either one of these, there's really no room for it to go. So I was thinking, since the cab is bigger, that maybe we could put this behind the seat. And look it, there's like some ample room back here behind the passenger seat. So maybe I can get some 2-inch, I think this is 2-inch or 2.5 inch. I think that's probably 2.5 inch. But I can get a 2.5 inch bar clamp, and I could bar clamp it back to the frame bar somehow back here. I don't know, that's what I was thinking, because it's out of the way. Look at, they're freaking not even close to the seat. Or, I mean, I can go up here, I suppose. I mean, maybe. So this air compressor is a fancy pants one. It has a digital screen on it. See that guy right there? So what I want to do is give it some go-go juice. It's even got a freaking flashlight on it. Oh, I see. So the flashlight comes on regardless. So see how the numbers are like that with the hose facing down? So what I want to do is I just want to zip tie it to where I want to mount it and make sure that the hose will reach to all 4 tires. And then that will tell me if I can mount it there or not. I mean, even if I got to run the hose through the cab to reach all the tires, that should be fine. But let's do that. We know that it needs to be mounted like this. That'll help protect some of the electronics too, so that this switch and then this stuff here is not out in the elements. Look at this, you could set this thing up to whatever pressure you want. And then you just hit the go-go button and make it go. Huh. Well, I'll obey. And then when this little switch is off, then that doesn't do anything. That's pretty neat. All right, so let's zip tie this up to where we want to mount it and make sure that the hose will reach all 4 tires. And then we'll see if we can come up with something. I don't have any, this is 2.5 inch. I don't have any 2.5 inch clamps. All right, I got the air compressor zip tied in place. Could be it's permanent mounting. I don't know yet. With the seat in there, seat belts, nothing interferes with that. So here's where it's sitting right now. It's very loose. The only thing that it's interfering with, because of where I put the zip ties, is it's hitting that little computer. So we don't like that. But I have it even so you can hit the buttons and everything without even taking the seat out. And this freaking hose is long. I mean, I could do a RZR that's in front of it. So no problems reaching any of these. You can get both of the fronts if you go out the driver's side. See? Easy. And you can get the passenger rear. Or no, if you go out the passenger side. You can get the passenger rear doing this. You can get the driver's rear if you just go out the passenger side. I mean, freaking hot dog is what I'm thinking. Like some chili dogs for dinner or something. Anyways, I can come up with something and fab it to bolt to that. But I'll order 2 clamps to clamp on the pump itself. I'll just have to be careful not to crush that, because that's where the actual, I don't really know what's in there. I guess the pump is in there. I don't know. Anyways, that's where it's going to be mounted. All right, I got it wired up. I don't have the mount for it yet, but I do have it wired up. So I ran the wiring as clean as I could into there, ran it off of the pulse bar, and if you hit the switch, ta-da! It's kind of nice it has a light on the bottom of it, because then if I leave it on, maybe I'll remember I left it on because the light's on. But I have it wired to remote power, so as soon as I kill the key, turns it off. Hot diggity. Do you have a ProR? And when you go to shift it, it kind of seems like you kind of got to pull on the shifter a little more than you think you need to, and it kind of jerks when you do that. It's probably because your belt is not properly centered in your shivs. So I'm going to show you how to fix that right here. The aftermarket Assassin secondary clutch kit finally showed up. Look at this cute little box. So all that's in there is the instructions and these shims. So the issue that I have is if this is the transmission side, my belt is riding over that way. So it's making the secondary spin a little bit. We need to take bolts out. Well, then why did I buy a clutch? Well, I guess I bought this so that, you know, I can shim it. Maybe these are different thicknesses or something. I don't really know. So let's remove the secondary bolt. Let's just take washers out, run it, and then see what it looks like. And see what that does. Maybe that'll fix it, and I just didn't even need to buy this shim pack. But I don't know. Now I have a shim pack. It was only like 20 bucks, so now I have it for future shim packing. All right, so we took the bolt out and it had 3 shims in there. I'm curious what these measure, but let's measure them, why don't we? That's 22 thousandths, 21.5, so 22. I wonder if they're all 22. Looks like they're all 22. So that's 66 thousandths. So I'm just gonna remove all of them. Look at me, right here. I'm gonna remove all of them. Put the bolt back in there. You're supposed to let it idle so the belt does its self-alignment deal. And then take a video again. So that's what we're gonna do right now. Secondary is running all the time, so removing all the shims was not the right way to go. So let's take the phone, stick it in there on video mode, and I will show you what we find. Yeah, see, now it's towards the front of the vehicle. Okay, so let's just try and put 2 shims back in there and see what that does. I kind of feel dumb for buying a shim pack, but I didn't know, and I didn't want to take it apart and then need a shim pack, and it was 20 bucks, and I just bought it, so it's fine. So we had 66 in there to start. That's got 44 now. It's like we need half of 22. So let's see if these new shims have got a thinner one. There's a 19, 19, 18.5, 18.5. I'm thinking these are all the same, and I'm just getting tiny variances. 18.5, 18, 18.5, 19, and then this is the one that came out of it. 22. So I could take that apart. You know what I need to do? I need to get a marker and start writing stuff down, or I'm gonna forget. So we started with 66, and if we remove 22, it moves it too close to the front of the RZR. So we really need like between 44 and 66. The middle of that would be equals 11. So 11 plus 44 equals 55. So can I come up with 55 here? 56 if I do 3 of the new ones. Huh. Why don't we just do that? What do you think about that? Okay. Okay, RZR is running, as you can hear. This is what the secondary should look like if you have it aligned properly. Yeah, it's not spinning. We'll stick the camera in there with video, and that should be as centered as it's been, and that's what we're going off of, or that's what we're going for. Look at that. It's like perfectly centered in there. You see it? Look at that. That's what we're going off of. So we started at the bottom, now we're here. Sorry. We started with 66 thousandths. We went down to 0. That made it way worse. That moved the belt the opposite way. So then we put 44 back in, and it was still grabbing the secondary. So we split the difference and we went to 55, 56. So apparently 11 thousandths is quite a bit of a difference for that alignment with the belt in the shiv this way. So there you go. In case you were wondering, is it even worth it? I did it, so you don't have to think about it. This roll around top creeper thing that Brandy bought me years ago is the most amazing thing. So when you're trying to get to stuff in here and you're just hunched over and your freaking back hurts, I just lay on that thing. It's freaking comfy. And it works good. It's like an old man creeper, and I like it, and it's fine. The next thing I'm going to look at is the mounting of the solenoid for the winch. So I was thinking this freaking bolt pattern here looks pretty similar to this little bolt pattern here. Well, it is similar, it's not the same. But my problem is I need to make sure that the little center bend thing will clear this. So I think what I'm going to do is just leave this sitting in here and go put the center console on. Cram all this in here somehow, maybe. I don't really know. But put the center console on and make sure that that little cover deal and whopper guy will go in there, and then that'll be where that goes. We've had this freaking thing apart so much I forgot how nice it looks when it's all together. Well, it's not all together, but... And this isn't the center console, this is the dash. I don't know what I was saying. Anyways, it fits. So this is sitting in there all the way with that winch solenoid down there. So it does not appear that there is interference. So that's where it's going to go. So I'm going to take the dash right back out, see if I can get that mounted, see if I can run some wires. The more I was looking at this, I kind of moved where I put this, or where I'm going to put this winch solenoid. And the reason why is with the screws that I had, it was going to be really difficult to reach underneath here to get to that. And the solenoid, if I had it mounted this way, the wires are going to be annoying to get to. If I had it mounted this way, the wires are going to come out close to this. So I was like, well, what if I just tuck it way back there? Well, then it's really hard to get to the frickin' hardware on the bottom. So what I did is I just took this little plate and welded the nuts on the bottom of it. I'm going to drill a couple holes, slide that back in there, fish this plate underneath there, and then just screw the bolts, or the screws, into the nuts. That's what I came up with. Here it is. It's all mounted up. Feels pretty secure too. And then that'll give me some room for the wires here. I gotta have a positive and negative running back to the battery, because we don't want to pull it off of this pulse bar. We want to have a dedicated one. And then the other two will go up to the winch. So let's start running those wires. In case you were wondering, the 25s Ultimate do not come with dual batteries. It has the location for it, but it doesn't have it. So right now I'm just going to run the single battery. And once we start doing winching, because that's when you really need some battery power, we'll see what happens. If it really starts dragging down on that battery, I might buy the dual battery kit. Looks like the cheapest one to get is from Trailstar Audio. It comes with the battery, the cables, and the tie down, and for like $250 or something like that. Just the kit from Polaris to do the dual battery, which is the cables and the tie down, is like $100. So anyways, we got the cables pulled. I've got the end for the battery. I've got the battery disconnected, but the ends I've already crimped ends on there. There's negative right there. Here's positive. I pre-ran them all the way up there so that I can get the length. I just cut them, pulled it back out so I can go to this block of wood. The crimper is this, so you just smack it with a hammer. So that's why I pulled the cables back out, so I could put the crimper right there and whack-a-mole it. That's what that looks like after you whack-a-mole it. Here is the pre-runner bumper that apparently is for a 22 through 24, and it doesn't fit a 25. I don't know what they changed. The bottom bolts are the same. The top, there's like a winch adapter plate that's supposed to go in there that I'm going to have to make if I want to use this. But what I wanted to do is test fit it and then try and slide the winch in there, see how much room we have, and see if we can make the winch work. The fair lead comes out here, so the winch has got to be elevated a little bit. But I was assuming I can make a plate that just spans the footprint of these two bottom bolts and then these two top bolts, because that bolt right there and then these ones down here are what the factory bumper bolts onto. This is an aluminum super light deal, but see how it's Well, it's not quite flat. That might be a pain in the butt then. I don't know. We'll see what we can come up with as far as fabbing. But I need to make sure that the front bumper surround piece fits still. So that's buried in here somewhere. So I need to dig that out, make sure that that still fits, because I want it to look as factory as possible. So right now it's missing this whole bottom section. So let me see if I could dig that out, get that on there, because I don't know if that's going to be a problem with this bumper or not. So let's try that real quick. Well, the lower valance thing fits. I got that bolted on there. It just, these two bolts on either side. It fits in there good. It clips back into the radiator support. This bumper's loose. The bottom two bolts are loose. I had to loosen that up to get the lower valance in there, but if we pull that up tight, we should still have clearance. So let me try and tighten those lower bolts. Those are going to be annoying to get to now because the plastic's against them. I'm assuming we might be able to cut that plastic though. But for right now, we're not going to. Maybe what I'll do is I'll just take these two bolts out so that I can snug it, because I just want to see what it looks like, make sure that this will pull up good. And then the next thing is going to be fishing the winch in there, which I don't think we're going to get the winch in there the way that it's sitting right now. I think we're going to have to take this back out, but one step at a time. Let's make sure that this fits with this, and then we'll move to the winch. It fits. So this is bolted on there tight. This is not, but it's sitting in the right location. I took this front little fascia piece off so I could reach in here and get to those bolts a little easier. So that fits. So now we need to loosen these bolts back up and see if we can just slide the winch in there behind all of this, see kind of where that goes and what we can come up with for a mount. Everything is very loose, but this is about in place. You can see that. I need to go in a little bit on the bottom. Look at the winch is sitting in there. I just have a strap on it right now, kind of holding it in place, and then this needs to go up a bit, but that's gonna work. So I think I'm gonna take it all the way back apart now and start cutting a winch plate. I've got some material that spans those 4 bolts that the factory bumper bolted to. See if I can get that fitted on there. I'm gonna make it as minimal as possible. This is what I came up with so far. So since we had those 2 different planes, what I decided is I just cut it in 3 pieces. The winch is gonna be interesting depending on how I bolt it, because I'm gonna have 2 bolts that are going through a plate that's flat and 2 that are going through a plate that's at an angle. So I might just drill them out and put like a stanchion piece of tube through there so it sandwiches to that tube, because I don't want the bolts to be pulling crooked. What do you think? A little bit of a gap in there, got a little close down there, but it'll be all right. All right, there it is, ground down. I was thinking about going back over this, but I grooved that out pretty good and I welded it front and rear. And once there's a winch on there and powder coat, you'll never know. I really want to weld it more, but I don't want to put more heat into it. I kept stitching it and cooling it off, stitching it and cooling it off. So that sucker's sitting in there where it needs to go. Well, shoo, buddy. Tell you what. It looks kind of funny right now without anything on the front of it. So let me put the bumper on there loosely, and then we'll hang the little plastic doojum-wappy. We could probably take this blanket back off. The RZR's warm now, so it doesn't need a blankie on it anymore. Where the fair lead bolts to, that is the upper support for the bumper. So we need to figure out how to tie that in. I think it's going to be easier to do that with the plastic off of there. I'm just looking at what we've got for clearance. We don't have a lot. I just took it off because it's easier. I just bolted this on here. And now, as long as I just stay super close to the winch, I'm just going to build a saddle that comes up here, goes over here, lines up with these bolt holes, and goes back down. This way, if I'm ever pulling anything with this, which I probably won't, but the top part of this will be supported and we're not leveraging off of all the way down here. That's what those bolt holes are for. So let's take some measurements, cut some metal, and get her done. All right, this looks like complete chaos, but the zip ties and the C-clamp are temporary, maybe. They might be permanent. But I've got these little straps coming up to what looks like a fair lead, but it's not. It's just open so the cable can go through it. This will bolt through here, and then I've got other straps that will go right here. And all of that should fit within the confinements of what we have here. And if it doesn't, then it's Dad's fault.
Okay.
Here's what it looks like with the winch installed, but no bumper on there. So I'm gonna try and test fit everything again, and then break it all back down, take some sharp edges off of this, and bring it to the powder coater guy. It looks nice. I don't have those 2 bolts in there, but, and it's a little loose still because I don't have all the bolts tight. They're just finger tight, but you can't even see the winch in there. And I got the factory plastic back on there. I mean, you could see the winch if you do that. I think it looks good. The plastic's just interfering down here, so I got to trim it a little bit, and then it'll be easier to get to those bolts if I cut that little tab off. There's that. That took me, I don't know, like 10 hours. I've been screwing with that damn thing, but I wanted it to be nice, so there it is. I'm going to take it all back apart, clean it up, and bring it to the powder coater. Alright, that's it for this video. ProR build part 2. Part 3 is coming. And let me tell you what it's gonna look like. It's gonna look like finishing up part 1 and part 2 stuff that I didn't do yet. I think we're gonna start with the front suspension. But anyways, that's the end of this video. Tune back in when part 3 comes out. All right? All right.